Talkin Tuesday, everybody. Mike, how the hell are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Happy to see you popped in here finally. I'm not gonna blame the delay completely on Mike. However, he was having a hard time getting in here. We texted back and forth. I'm like, fuck, I'm just gonna start the show, and he literally popped in like the second I hit start. So perfect fucking timing. But again, I'm not gonna blame everything on you, because I went and hung out today. I was having a good day. I went around to a few different places. I wanted to go ask some people, since I had time to kill today. We're going to get rolling on the fucking paranormal shit, the Vets Investigating Paranormal VIP channel, which you're going to see the bot popping up with the fucking link. And we were going to do our first investigation today at an unknown location. I can't reveal where it is because technically we're not supposed to record there and air it on the fucking interwebs. But we're going to do it anyways. And but it was going to be Scotty and his fiance Hope. And Hope had to go and get herself fucking hurt. So he has to do the good hubby thing and stay home with her. And I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to go out and do this by myself. So I ended up going around and I started talking to people. And there are actually legends and a lot of other shit going around here at Lake of the Ozarks. I found out there's a fucking pig butchery. What do you call it? A slaughterhouse. Not too far from here, which apparently has a lot of spooky shit going on. So yeah, I got a lot of good info. And also I've had a couple of drinks already. So Blue Cord, you're a fucking dick. I'm probably gonna be pretty damn inebriated, is my guess, by the time this fucking this damn show is over with. But happy as hell to have you all here. We haven't done a Vets Talking Tuesday in a while. Well, technically it's my first show coming back, but I'd like to make it a regular thing again. Mike hasn't been here in a while. Let me turn this up a little bit. I sound wrong. Mike, when I texted you, usually you're kind of like, I don't know if I can come on, but this one you're like, fuck yeah, I'll be there.
I was drinking.
That's just it. It's just you were drinking, so you're like, yeah, I want to come on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Good point. I appreciate it. Love you, buddy. Good to see you. Love the hat.
I found it.
Just lying around somewhere? Found the trash, didn't you? Oh, man. I think we got some other people going to be popping in here. Let's say hello to the amazing chat. Oh, by the way, I don't know how long I'm going to be gone for. I'll probably have some videos popping up. But tomorrow I'm leaving for
Green Bay,
Wisconsin. That's right. Me and Mikey over here are heading to Green Bay for the home opener against the Colts, which I thought was going to be an easy win. And now we don't have our starting quarterback, Jordan Love. And I'm concerned this may be my first ever. I've never been to a losing Packer game at Green Bay. I was there when Aaron Rodgers. I've never been to a losing Packer game where our starting quarterback was starting. Let's say that. Because I was in Kansas City for the first ever start of Jordan Love. And that was when Aaron was out with the coof and all that stupid fucking controversy happened. But yeah, let's see how it is. I don't even know who the fuck our backup quarterback is, but let's hope. But anyways, my point was I actually, whenever I'm out, I try to always get back here an hour before the show starts because show prep can take a while. And so I got in here, I sat down, I looked at the clock and I realized, oh, I don't have 1 hour. I have 5 fucking minutes. Yeah, I was off by an entire fucking hour. I thought we were starting 8:30 Central and I realized, oh, I fucked up bad. And so I just threw everything together. So I think we're perfectly all right, though. It's a shit show. I think everyone here accepts that. I love you guys. And especially because we have these guys who pop in like Blue Cordell right away and immediately dropping a $20 fucking. Mike, you guys shots ready? I
do, right here.
Fucking A. Let's fucking do it. It has begun. Hold on. We got to play the video first. Remember, there's an order of things on this channel. We can't just jump right in willy-nilly.
It has begun.
Cheers.
I'm drinking scotch.
Ooh, nice. I'm
Very
drinking
nice.
tin cup. I couldn't remember if this is the one. I couldn't remember if this is the one that was like very similar to fucking Redneck Riviera. It's definitely not the one I was thinking of, but at least it is very smooth, at least, but not as smooth as I would like. Call me a bitch. I don't care.
Bitch.
Oh, I smell bitch in here.
I'll take it. I don't care. Let me see before I jump to the other ones. What do I got down here? Got looks like Tommy says, "Hail chat, busy with the project now. Didn't plan to watch Comrade Harris tonight. Check in later if you're still on." Okay, well, I appreciate you popping in here at least, buddy. Love you, man. I love everyone in the chat here. Everyone here is awesome. Wayne Rowe, welcome, Wayne Rowe. He informed me of something very interesting about the late and great now James Earl Jones, which I will share immediately after this. Didn't know he was in the army. Didn't know it. Did you know he was in the army, James Earl Jones?
Did not. Nope.
Yeah, I did some background research. It's more than you might think too. See Wayne Road, Blue Cord. See Joseph. Hale be popping in between this and D-Day Cobra. How dare you? How dare you split your time between me and that motherfucker? Jeremy, everyone knows he's an asshole. Come on. I'm trying to get him on. I've already said it's going to be a really big show. I'm not going to say why exactly, but it's going to be a really big show on November 2nd, 3 days before the election, which is November 5th. Keep that in mind. Lock that in your noggins, everybody. November 5th is election day. Keep that in mind. And on November 2nd, I'm trying to get a big get out the vote show. And I'm trying to get Jeremy on. Right now, I'm jumping through loops, though. But we'll see if we can get that motherfucker on. He's never been on the show before. Last time I talked to him, though, he knows me. He knows the show now. He recognized it. He shouted me out, like even in person when I've seen him. So he wants to come on, but I'm jumping through hoops trying to get through the channels to get to the schedule. It's a whole fucking thing. So if you're over there, tell him Vets Talking says what's up. Let's see. And I had to pop in here and let everybody know we're starting soon. Cause yeah, we I don't know if we've ever started this late before. I think we're almost 15 minutes late, which is nuts. We're about 9 minutes away from the show even starting, the fucking the debate. Dr. Gold, what is up? Our 20-year-old Patriot bagger, grocery bagger. Welcome, dude. Michelle Romero. Hey, hail, Michelle. Do I sound as drunk as I think I do?
I've heard worse.
Thank you. All right, I'll take that. Pred Attack, what's up, buddy? Welcome. Jared Fleming, hello, and welcome everybody over here. Love having everyone over here, guys. You guys are awesome. Oh, that's the glitch. So when I started the stream, hey, do I look like can you see my pores and everything right now? Because StreamYards now has a feature to stream in 2K. So I have a ultra high def camera, and now we're capable of streaming in high def. So do I look like extra greasy and extra fucking like gross right now? Because that's how I imagine it probably is like, since we're actually like streaming a little. Thanks. Like I said, at the very least, when I start a show, at the very least, I get in and I at least like rub my face down if I've been like busy in the day, wash away all the old sweat and grease and everything. I didn't have time to do that. I'm like, shit, I got 5 fucking minutes. I just got to jump into this fucking thing. You're good, ugly, and sexy as always. I'll just take the good and ugly. All right. You'll see a shimmer. All right, guys. All right. So yeah, apparently, let me know, is the stream working okay too? Is it glitchy at all, or is it coming through okay? Because when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to chance this. You know, if all of a sudden I'm streaming in 2K and they just fucking started, I'm like, it might fucking come out kind of shitty.
I can make out your background pretty good.
That's actually a really good feature. Okay, because yeah, I always knew that like the background details were always really bad. Like all my little trinkets and everything over here. I've got my Trump card here. I've got my Louder Crowder mug over here. Make America Great hat over here. So I knew that all of these have always been very blurry. So I guess that's a very good feature now that you guys
crystal clear now.
You can see it a lot better. So let's maximize. How's it
Yeah.
look?
Oh, that's even better. Now I can read the comics.
Yeah. Well, Isom, actually, and this isn't a comic. This is a green-haired anti-liberal bought me this at the Redneck Riviera bar in Nashville. It's a Redneck Riviera sign saying "Warning to the Redneck Riviera area," and it gives like all kinds of things. Like you'll find like patriotism and love of guns and shit like that. And I've got my MAGA flag over here, which I intend at some point because I've got the mounts on my truck to fly flags, and I still haven't done it yet, but I should do it this weekend. It's bike week here at Lake of the Ozarks, and I'm pretty sure these bikers would greatly appreciate seeing these MAGA flags and whatnot flying around here. So yeah, me and Scotty have been talking about oh, my foam finger, you're right. Michelle, hold on. Oh, I do have it. It's right here. I do have my Tom McDonald foam finger from his music video, Everybody Needs Me, which apparently I think they only made like 40 of these. So it's not actually from the video, but it is a rare commodity. And the only reason I don't have it up is because I was planning on putting it right here, but literally this is all you'd see. Well, back here. Yeah. It would just be this fucking red dick looking thing sticking out of the top of my head. So
Not a good look. Not a good look.
So I will figure out something. I think I might like find a way to put it right behind the arcade game over here or something, but it's going to be a work in progress. I might have to rearrange everything because
for now, just hold it in your lap.
We'll just stream like this for the rest of the night. Oh yeah. And of course on the back it says Everybody Needs Me, Tom McDonald signature. It's a hilarious video, Mike. I know you're not into rap. I shared one of the videos with you and at least you appreciated the message, but this one is great because he goes out of his way to try to offend as many people as possible in this video. Not only was it probably one of the most offensive videos out there for these psycho leftists, but it made 2 Billboard #1s. So I guarantee that just drove them even more fucking nuts. They hate it so much. But on top of that, he got 2 #1 Billboard fucking records off of that song that they would probably think is the most offensive song ever. And that's why he's got a foam finger with a middle finger saying, fuck you. I don't care.
Did you stop talking?
Can you hear me?
I saw your lips moving, but I wasn't hearing anything.
You can hear me okay now, right?
I can now, yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were fucking with me.
Well, what's weird is I have their the CNN stream playing behind me. Oh, before we get started, yeah, I have to bring this up. Talking about James Earl Jones, which holy shit, we lost. I mean, when you look at accomplishments with actors, I mean, he is up there with the Mount Rushmore, the roles he's done, just the acting ability alone. I'm not a critiquer, I'm not good with that kind of stuff. So I can't really give like the good, intelligent shit about it, but just an amazing one of a kind fucking actor out there, and an amazing loss. However, of course, he's really up there in age, so it's not a big surprise. However, because of Wayne Rowe shared this, he is an Army veteran, and not only is he an Army veteran, he was an officer. Now, not for very long though. Here's a synopsis. I'm not going to read all this, but he went into college with the intention of going in to get a medical degree. At the same time, also went into acting school while also being in ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps. As this goes through, it basically comes through that he was an exceptional cadet. He was a part of the Pershing's rifle drill team. I mean, I was all about that shit. I know Mike knows this. I was the leader of the state color guard in Vermont. I love doing drill and ceremonies. He was a National Society of Scabbard and Blades. This guy was a fucking hotshot with drill and ceremonies, all this shit. And basically, it breaks down that he lost interest in the medical and also with acting at that time, and he decided instead to pursue a career in the military. And so when he was done, he didn't get a degree. However, with ROTC, he did enter the military as a second lieutenant. So this isn't just some Joe Schmo who got, drafted like Elvis Presley or anything else like that. He saw the military as being his life. He went on to the officer basic course at Fort Benning and Ranger School. Now, I have yet to find if he completed that. I think that really where it comes at is that like the information is very sparse. They don't have all the details. They said that he attended Ranger School. Doesn't say that he completed. So we don't know if he was actually a Ranger. But he went on to be the leader of certain organizations, cold weather training. Eventually, he was such a great officer, he got promoted to first lieutenant in a short amount of time, and then was asked by his commanding officer, is this really what you want to do, or do you want to pursue a different course? His dad was an actor. And basically, he looked at his entire life and he decided he wanted to take that route and try to become an actor. And then he used the GI Bill to go on to advanced acting school. And that's where we found him. He went on to a first role on stage. And then his first ever role on film was Dr. Strangelove, which I don't know if you knew there, Mike. I'm sure you're probably very familiar with Dr. Strangelove, right?
Oh, yeah, very much.
He was Lieutenant Lothar Zog, the B-52 Stratoforce's bombardier. Does that ring a bell for you?
Bombardier?
Bombardier? Yeah. I'm saying like it was French. I know. I don't know. My drunk mind went to French for some fucking reason.
I know. Yeah, I do. I'd forgotten that he was the bombardier. But when I read that, I went, oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He wasn't famous at the time. He had a minor role as far as the bombardier went. But the movie was outstanding.
Yeah. I remember seeing it as a kid a long time ago.
I've watched it many times.
But yeah, I mean, just amazing history right there. And thank you very much to Wayne Rowe for letting me know that. I mean, just got to give a big shout out and love to our our military veterans out there, especially somebody like James Earl Jones, who we never even knew that he had that history. He was expecting to go to Korea. Korea was happening at the time. Instead, he got sent somewhere else. So I mean, at least his track led to where he is now, or where he was at least, and go on to play these iconic roles like Darth Vader and so much more. Okay, so I'm still seeing it's 8:00 now. If anybody else can have a TV on or something and tell me when the debate is starting, because I'm looking at CNN's feed right now and I'm not seeing.
Okay, I've got it on and it hasn't started yet.
Okay, good. I just want to confirm. Okay, refreshing just in case. Oh no, it started. Okay, I see that coming out. All right, let's go right now. The presidential debate has started. They're actually in hands.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America.
Bullshit.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small
She's trying to
businesses.
portray herself
My
as a
plan is to
as a
give a
small lower class individual.
$50,000
She was
tax
high class. She was middle to
to
high
start
middle
up
high
small
class high
businesses,
middle class at the very
knowing they are
least.
part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be
Oh shit!
people paying
It's trying to
for
turn it up.
tax
It won't
cuts
go
for
up any higher.
billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because it was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums. And they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected
Trying to
very
pull that
soon.
catty look.
And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden.
This is a good move
led into
because
our
this
country,
is the
and they're
greatest issue
destroying our
people are having
country.
right now
They're
is the immigration. The
They're
fact
at the
these people are
highest level
taking
of
over their fucking
criminality,
cities right now.
and we
This
have
is
to get them
huge.
out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again.
And he's circling
and even
back.
better.
Good
We are
shit.
going to get to immigration
Good
and border
shit.
security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris
You managed to
respond
nail
on the
the
economy.
top two
Well,
issues people
I'd
have in
love
our
to.
country right
Let's
now with that
talk
one
about
statement.
what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us
Top
the
economy.
worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And
All right,
what
that's
we have
that's one of
done
the
is
drinking game
clean up
rules.
Donald Trump's
Kamala
mess.
parrots a
What
proven
we
lie
have
about
done
Trump.
and what
Frank,
I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes
talking
of
about
the
Jan
American
6
people. But I'm going to
bullshit.
tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025
Oh,
that the
shut
former
up.
president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance.
I met people
of
in real
bringing
life who
us
do
together,
believe
knowing
that.
we
They
have
actually
so much
believe
more in
2025
common
is
than
his
what
project. They
separates
have
us.
no clue
And
the
I
truth
pledge
is.
to do
Oh
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
president for all Americans.
President Trump, I'll give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very
Correct. It has
substantially
nothing to do with that.
and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
Wayne, I added.
So,
Good call. Anytime Project
Donald
2025
Trump
comes
has
up,
no
a drink.
plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession.
Talking
You just
specifically
have to
about
look
2025.
at
That's
where
not
we
him.
are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested
You
in
have no
defending
plan. She doesn't have
himself
any
than
fucking
he is
plan.
in
She just
looking
keeps
out
on
for
saying,
you.
we're going to do things better. We're going to make things better without any
Yeah.
fucking details at all on how
I
they
went to the
fucking
Wharton
do it.
School of Finance.
She's
and
been in office for
it was
4
just a
years.
top
None of
professor.
it's happened.
I think my plan is a
She's
brilliant
arguing
plan. It's
about
a
her
great
own
plan. It's a plan
failures.
that's going to
Yeah.
bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off,
Just look at her. She's just
she
looking like a
doesn't
catty
have a
bitch.
plan.
That's her entire
she
thing.
copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run,
It's true.
spot, run.
Faces are never
4
a good look.
sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
It's what
Mr.
Biden
President, I
ran
do wanna
on.
drill
It's
down on
almost
something you both
verbatim.
Brought up.
Yeah.
The vice president brought up your tariffs. You responded. And
She's
let's drill
running
down on this,
verbatim on
because
Biden's
your
plan that led
is
us to
what
where
she
we
calls
are
is
right
essentially
now.
a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the president said there, because the
He's
Biden
being so
administration did
restrained,
keep
and I fucking
a
love
number
it.
of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out. when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet.
What?
Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
What?
President Trump
Are you
has a response.
First
fucking
of all,
kidding
they
me?
bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of
No, she did not just pull that
philosophies like
shit.
they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago
That's a
is
drink.
out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
That was the zinger.
She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics. And he taught her
Absolutely true.
well.
Fact check
But
true.
when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And
Body
just
language
look at what
experts
they're
are going
doing
to
to
tear
our
her
country.
apart with this.
They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump. Thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've
Man,
often
I can't
touted that you were
believe
able
she
to
pulled that
kill
shit.
Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud
Trying to claim
be
that-
the most pro-life president in American history.
Oh, we'll
Then
get
last
into it
month,
about
you said
COVID
that
in
your
fucking China.
administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the
Absolutely
previous
fucking
governor
true. You
of
look at
West
certain
Virginia,
states,
not the
certain
current
areas,
governor, who's doing
they
an
will
excellent
allow it
job.
all the way up until
But the
birth.
governor before,
Absolutely true.
he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that.
Former governor of
because that
Virginia absolutely
predominates,
said that.
because
100%
they're
true.
radical.
was the
The
Virginia
Democrats
governor.
are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which
They're
I think
willing
is
to kill a
horrible
child
pick,
after
by the way,
being
for our
born.
country,
100%
because
true.
he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years, they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions, very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice
That was a
President, I want to get your response
proposal.
to President Trump.
Those
Well,
are
as I
as
said,
an
we're
actual
here for
governor was
life,
actually
and
okay
that's
with
not
that. It didn't
actually a
become law, but they were
surprising
okay with the idea of that.
Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison
it's the
for
right
life.
of the state.
Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means.
It's
A
the right
survivor
of
a
the state.
crime, a
That's the
violation
country we live
to
in.
their
That's how the
body
Constitution works.
does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country.
Is he the president?
You want to talk
Why,
about this?
why do they keep saying Trump?
Pregnant
Yeah,
women
He said it's
He's
to the
not in
state's
office.
decision.
a pregnancy
No.
to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that.
Then talk to the state.
13-year-old survivor of
It's
incest
their
being
decision.
forced to carry a
It's
pregnancy
the country
to
we
term.
live in. We live in
They
a
don't
country
want
of
that.
United States.
And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to
Truth,
put back
Laszlo.
in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Why
Thank
didn't he
you,
do that
Vice
when he was
President
president?
Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm
Yep.
not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it
Well,
came
I
to your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, 2 things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of when they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea, and how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free, but they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young
It's
people.
unfortunate he wasn't
and a lot of
prepared
other
for
people
that,
had
that
loans.
question.
They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years, they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
Oh,
and
bullshit.
has been
Bullshit.
happening under Donald Trump's
Correct me if
abortion
I'm
ban.
wrong. Somebody out there, there's at least
Couples
3 states
who
that allow
pray
up to 9 months.
and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare.
No,
as
she
it
completely
is,
dodged the
have to
question.
travel to
Do you have
another
any
state
limitations on
to get
abortion?
on a plane sitting next
She's
to
not giving an answer.
strangers
She won't answer
to
that.
go and get the health care she needs? Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America,
I love
have
how
not, the
he
majority of
restrained he
Americans
is. She
believe
is
in a woman's right
he's
to make
allowing
decisions
her
about
to
own
kill
body.
herself
And that is
metaphorically with
in
the
every state where
craziness
this
she's
issue
putting
has
out.
been on the
He's not
ballot
even
in red
looking
and
at
blue
her.
states both.
I
The
applaud that.
people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you answer
Yes,
that
hold on
question?
to the fire.
you
Yes.
answer the question, would you
Because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question,
you
would you
could
veto?
do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important.
She
to
looked bad
Republicans,
right there.
Democrats, voters across the board.
She
in this
panicked. She
country.
panicked for a
Vice
brief moment
President
right
Harris,
there.
you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States.
Wrong.
I know there are so many families watching
Fake
tonight
news.
who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow
Yeah,
us
let me know if
to
I missed any of the
prosecute
drinking game
transnational
rules.
criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand.
Yep.
But what we
All
have in the
lies.
former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually
Because
do
it's
something
one of the
really
top
unusual, and I'm
issues
going
in
to
the
invite
country
you
right now with
to attend
registered
one of Donald
voters.
Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
Should he talk
And I
about
will
Venn
tell you, the one thing you
diagrams
will
and
not
yellow
hear him
school
talk
buses?
about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first. And I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris,
Try
thank you.
to
President Trump,
defend her
on that
last
point, I
4
wanna get your
years
response.
I
during.
would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then
That's a thing or
showing
drink.
them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again.
Wait, what just happened? Did that just freeze for everybody?
Yeah. Well, not on TV.
Mike, can you mute yours, by the way? I can hear that in the background. I wasn't sure what that was.
Ah.
Oh, I think CNN just cut the stream. Holy shit. That stream is dead. Dude, ABC just cut the fucking stream live. Right in the middle of him fucking speaking.
Their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney.
People who use a warmonger
you
for
want to
decades.
really know
I'm sold.
inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people.
Thank you.
Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they? But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier. So let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher.
Oh, it's
Take us
way
through
higher.
this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the
I
roof.
think Springfield,
despite their
Ohio is now like
fraudulent statements that they
40%
made.
Haitian.
Crime in this country is
Illegal aliens.
we have a
Haitian.
new form of
65,000 people, and they've got 20,000 Haitian immigrants.
nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris, I'll
FBI
give you this.
defrauded.
Wrong.
They were
Total
defrauding
bullshit.
statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just
Crime
like
is not being reported.
818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you.
Boom.
respond, but
Yes.
Well, I think this is so rich
Definitely drink to that.
coming from someone who has been prosecuted
That was very-
for national security crimes, economic crimes,
She
election
said prosecuted, not
interference,
convicted, because he's
has
not
been
convicted of
found
anything yet.
liable for sexual assault, and his next
Bullshit.
big court appearance is in
Bullshit.
November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement.
fucking-
The former vice
he was
president
not
called
convicted
for
of anything
defunding federal
sexual
law enforcement,
misconduct.
45,000
Nothing.
agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries.
Okay, give us
But
any details
frankly,
on how
the
you're going to do
American
that.
People are
Exactly. And why hasn't it already been happening?
playbook.
Vice President Harris.
3.5 years. You haven't done it.
This should
Every
be
one of
a
the cases-
continuation of all the successful policies they've
Medical
had.
component. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases
True.
was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're
President Trump.
fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly
Under
said
his
he would
presidential
terminate,
duties.
I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he
What
would
a-
weaponize
Oh my
the Department
God.
of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly
How does anyone
expressed
buy this shit?
disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people.
Vice President
stop
Harris.
him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President
They
Harris,
said
in your
nothing's
last run
changed.
for president.
Weaponized, please.
We gotta
This is the
continue
one
here.
that weaponized, not me. She weaponized.
Yes.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a
Zinger,
threat to
drink.
democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a
President
fake
Trump.
Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get.
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President
Boom.
Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking.
Blue
Now
coat,
you
I
don't.
see you, Elvin
You
Rumble.
wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border
I'll get to
crossings.
the super chat
Now
during
you're
the break.
taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of the, at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about
He's
fracking
an
because we're here in
extreme far left
Pennsylvania.
Marxist.
I made that
Values
very
have
clear in
not changed.
2020.
Take her word on
I
that.
will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I
As
was
Vice President, she
the
couldn't ban
vote
it.
on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in
We were a net
domestic oil
exporter under
production
Trump.
in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work
How
that
did
is
you go
about
from
protecting
fracking to
Social
that?
Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My
Can anyone else
values
follow the
have not
bouncing ball right
changed.
now?
And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
President Trump, your
Well,
response?
first of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years.
Yep.
Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please.
Ooh, he
familiar?
turned it on her. That's a zinger. Oh, drink.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead. Fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that we
for the
have to get to.
environment, as
We're
she
out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just ask you,
David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle, they took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask you.
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th.
No, she wasn't. She
I
was at the DNC.
the vice president
Liar.
elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there.
No,
And
she
on that
was
day,
not. I'll get to
The
that.
President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140
It was a planned event that Trump had nothing to do with. I was there
and some
at the
died.
speech, not the Capitol building, but I was
understand,
there. That was
the
already a planned event
former
that he had
president
nothing
has
to
been
do with,
indicted
to
and
go to
impeached
peacefully and patriotic
for
protest
exactly
the Capitol
that
building.
reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob
here's
of
a
people
pivot.
carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Drank,
Let's
perpetuating a
remember
fucking bullshit lie.
that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for
Proud Boys,
everyone
man, and a
watching
militia.
who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath. If this and the outcome
Talking
of this
about
election
auto
is not to his
manufacturing with
liking,
China had nothing to do
let's turn
talking
the
about
page
actual
on this.
physical
Let's
violence
not
because of
go
the result
back.
of an election.
Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where
about the
bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this, you talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills.
Right
they have
now.
the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both.
That's a zinger moment. Drink.
This into focus. Truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
But
You know
those-
that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican,
judge looked at it.
And said
they
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread fraud.
standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter. Because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight.
Thank you,
Said
Michelle.
He didn't say that
Perfect.
he
Yes.
lost by
Nobody
whisker,
asked for
so he
your
still
personal
believes
opinion,
he did
David.
not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And
I
clearly
don't
he's having
think
a
so.
very difficult time processing that.
Okay, so I can hear you.
But
Okay.
we
Yeah.
cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then
They
talk
fucking
in
suck
this
his
way
dick when he
in a
shows up.
presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll
It's
give
not
you 1
be
minute to
confused
respond,
about
Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president, but when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but
Mr.
I'm okay with it because
your time is
I
up.
think we're
Thank
going to
you.
do very well.
Oh, drink to that.
Turning out the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis. Many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would.
Really?
And how it does so matters.
I don't
Oh,
know.
that's not the position they've been taking with Netanyahu.
Innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers.
She's trying to play both sides.
Is that this war must end.
That won't work.
It must end immediately. And the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in
There
that
already was
solution,
one.
there must be
Exactly.
security
There
for the
What was
Israeli
Gaza?
people and
There was a
Israel, and an
truce.
equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always,
Hamas
I
attacked
will always
Israel
give Israel the ability to defend
when there was a
itself,
truce.
in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates
Went to a
Israel.
college event when
If she's
Netanyahu was in
president,
D.C.
I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke.
What the hell?
Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant.
She's losing it. She was
He
hot.
gave permission. How come he didn't do it?
Love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors.
Because they're so scared of him that they never start anything until you're fucking off.
You have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a
Russia attacked Ukraine. China's been fucking around with Taiwan and fucking Gaza attacked fucking Israel. None of that happened under Trump. None of that happened.
Thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it. That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month.
We are right on the verge of China attacking Taiwan.
168 different countries because sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC
Yeah,
News
okay. Somebody
presidential
did
debate
ask
from the
how
National
many times have
Constitution
they
Center right
interrupted
here in
Kamala.
Philadelphia.
No, they never did. They didn't interrupt her one single time. They have interrupted Trump every single fucking time. I will say that. Let me.
The ABC News presidential debate will
Okay,
continue.
let me mute this. All right, so so I will say she came out better than I thought she was going to, but she is definitely flailing right now. She's starting to fall off. She's gonna go back, and they're gonna fucking pump her up with whatever more fucking testosterone that she fucking needs. But she's coming out better than I thought. The fucking ABC panel moderators have definitely been worse than CNN. Not as bad as we would have thought. I think they've learned their lesson that when they are too one-sided, then they get bashed on too much. So they're not as bad as they used to be. Like during the fucking previous two fucking elections with Trump, they were terrible with him. But we got to get to these shots real quick. What are your impressions so far, Mike?
The one thing that's I keep seeing is the faces she makes. Trump keeps a pretty steady face, but she keeps making these like looks like, oh yeah, and yeah, but it's just I don't think
she did this whole fucking thing.
I don't think that's a very good look for trying to impress people with being presidential.
No,
Trump's
she looks
pretty
cunty.
much staying. He gets a little bit annoyed with some of the stupidity she keeps repeating, but he's handling it well.
Absolutely.
But I agree. I thought she was going to be less able to continue in a thought than she has been doing. She's apparently been well coached.
I think absolutely. And I want to try to get through all these shots here real quick. We just had thank you, Clinton House just popped in. I think she got coached on keep it short, keep it simple, because anytime she goes too long, like beyond 3 seconds, she drones on into nonsense fucking land.
Yeah.
So yeah, she got well coached into keep it concise and simple, and she's starting to fail at that. And unfortunately, obviously, she's going to go back. She's going to get fucking pumped up again. They're going to say, "Stop it! You're too stupid to talk. Stop talking." So that being said, though, we got to get to, I want to try to run through these all real quick. Dr. Gold, 1999. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate the hell out of you, man. He says, I love that Trump called out Kamala for being a Marxist. Absolutely. I think he needs to hammer on that more. Keep on hammering on that.
Yes.
We have never had any fucking presidential candidate win on far left values. It has never fucking happened. She is the most far left, extreme left of any candidate ever in history. And if we can keep on nailing on that and let people understand how crazy her leftist ideologies are, then it should be an easy fucking win. But we're not going to fucking assume it's going to be easy. All right. I want to keep on saying, do not assume it's going to be a win.
It's never easy. It won't be easy.
Never easy. All right, so we got to run through this. So let's hit up the videos and take some shots.
Hey, that wasn't an approach.
Thank you, Dr. Gold. All right, moving on down the line. Let me know when they come back on if you could, if you got the TV on.
Okay, I do, yeah.
Wayne Rowe popped in with $5, says Trump needs to challenge sanctuary
I just opened
laws.
this today.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You're going to be sloshed tomorrow.
Just today.
You're just gonna be sleeping
this
on the plane all
afternoon, to be
fucking
exact.
all day. Trump needs to challenge sanctuary laws at the states coming up with their immigration laws. Police have to help with ICE holds. Love everyone here. Love you there, Wayne Rowe. Thank you so much for the $5. I really don't want to miss anything. Okay, still commercial break. All right.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you a heads up real quick.
All right, appreciate it. See, I got over on the Rumble side. I always want to make sure I share. I want everyone to always see, give proper love to anybody who wants to give money. That is Blue Cord W. He's got a name with the W. That's Blue Cord Devil over there. For 20. Says had to move. Screw tube won't let me chat. Have another shot for this shit show that is camel toe come ho. Dude, I'm telling you, man, people are definitely I'm getting fucked with on YouTube, man. Guys, again, I can't stress enough to go over to the Rumble side. I don't want to assume, but it is so possible we could get banned over here on YouTube any fucking time. So with
I
that,
only watch you on Rumble.
oh, I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate it. If you're not on Rumble, guys, just hop on. It's the I'm not gonna get that spiel. We gotta hurry up through this. Let's go. Thank you, Blue Cord. How we doing? Okay, they're back. All right.
Yeah.
Clinton House, I'll get back to you here in a minute, buddy. I love you, dude. Thank you so much, Clinton. You have been such a great supporter. We'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But
yep.
Take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason?
You're fucking
He hasn't
awesome,
even
dude.
made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here.
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up.
Fucking zinger, drink
Just
to
to clarify
that.
in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for
piss.
Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president, you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Oh, Biden.
I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise,
they were not part
Putin
of
would
NATO.
be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight.
Oh,
Afghanistan came up in the
you.
last hour. I wanted to respond to something you said earlier, and now, please, I'll give you a minute.
Oh,
here.
fuck you, ABC.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should.
Did you meet
as
with
a
him
leader
before the
upholding
invasion?
international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan.
Did we get a point at all?
I didn't find that
I
out.
want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you.
Yes, that's a fucking mic drop. Yes,
a poignant
that's a
moment today on
fucking
Capitol
mic
Hill,
drop.
honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where
He's
we
inviting
invite
an
and
enemy to
receive
negotiate terms.
respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them
She looks like
to
such a
Camp
bitch.
David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the president of the United States to be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military.
He is so
fallen
happy to wait to
soldiers,
respond to
and
this.
the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations
thank
with the
you.
Taliban.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, David.
If you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people,
I want to
did the
move on.
worst
See, right
withdrawal.
away.
And in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics.
Damn it, Trump!
Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words. So I'm asking.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
Oh my God.
I do believe
his career. He's only been in politics for 4 years as president. She's been doing it for years.
Just constantly trying to divide
All
us,
she
and especially
does.
by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was a land. He owned land. He owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to Black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. What? Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first Black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do. I travel our country.
Oh, yes, I know.
We
You're
see
everywhere.
in each other a friend. We see
Yeah,
in each
where's
other
her
a
southern
neighbor.
accent?
We don't want a leader who is constantly
Was it
trying to
Foghorn
have
Leghorn?
Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their
Becomes
grandmother
word salad.
speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country.
True.
There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately.
Very badly.
And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with
Under
that.
her and Biden's administration.
Absolutely.
Briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly
You're
not
the
Donald
vice
Trump.
fucking president.
You were the
And what I
last
do
person
offer
in the
is a new
room.
generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible.
She made
one
the
who brings a
tie-breaking
sense of
vote on the
optimism
fucking inflation
about what we
bullshit.
can
Yeah, the
do
inflation,
instead of
yeah.
always
The
disparaging
Reduction Act that just
the American
$360
people.
billion
I
to bullshit
believe
Green
in
New
what
Deal
we can
bullshit.
do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and
Show me your
let's
What's
compare
plan.
the plans.
Show your
I
fucking,
have a
let us know.
plan
Tell us what the
to
fuck you're
give
gonna
startup
do.
businesses $50,000 tax deduction.
Oh,
To
sick. Give
pursue
it that foghorn
their ambitions, their
accent. I would like to
innovation,
hear
their
that.
ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life. To
More
help
government
you
money.
in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down
He's losing
payment
it.
assistance for first-time home buyers.
Oh, God.
That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation
Why
that
they
is
haven't talked about
constantly
the deficit? They
belittling
need to talk
and
about the
name
deficit.
calling. Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's turn
Trump,
back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
She
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
That's
Thank you,
what
Mr.
her plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond
President
because
Trump,
the
President
former
Trump.
president has
No,
said
I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry.
Let's
We're
get
going
it
to respond,
on.
Vice
One
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this is
multiple
now
Oh,
your
so
third time
ABC
running
is
for president.
trying to.
You have
Okay,
long
ABC's
vowed
actually
to
showing her
repeal
up.
and
Good.
replace the Affordable Care Act,
They're losing
also
it. That's
known
the
as
problem.
Obamacare. You have
Yeah,
failed to
yeah.
accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare. Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act,
that he carried into combat.
Just look at the history to know where people stand.
Stolen valid, by the way.
When Donald Trump was president,
motherfucker.
60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being you don't like him, you said at the time, because he got
every
caught.
single
He was
Republican
an
that comes
American
against
hero.
Trump.
The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the
How many
people
times they
watching
called
tonight,
John
remember
McCain a
what that was
racist,
like?
homophobic?
Remember when an insurance
they'll
company
just
could
put it on.
deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes? And thankfully, as I've been vice president, and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act,
She
we
makes
have
it sound
allowed
like
for the
the
first time
government would just
Medicare to
roll
negotiate
over every
drug
time they
prices
want to give you
on
some
behalf
kind
of
of
you,
treatment.
the American people.
Anyone
Donald
who's
Trump
ever
said he
been
was going to
involved
allow
in
Medicare
public
to
health
negotiate
knows that
drug
the
prices. He
government
never did. We did.
kiboshes
And now we have
everything.
capped
Look
the
at
cost of
Britain.
insulin at $35
Look at
a
Canada.
month. Since
They
I've
come
been
to
vice
America
president,
to get shit
we've
done.
capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at
Healthcare and all these
$2,000 a
socialist
year.
fucking
And when I
social
am president,
healthcare
we will
areas.
It
do that
fits.
for all people,
Yeah,
understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care
People are
should
on
be a
waiting
right
lists for
and not
fucking
just a privilege
6-8
of those
months
who can afford it.
for
And the plan
life-threatening
has to
fucking
be
diseases
to strengthen the
because of
Affordable
socialized
Care
healthcare.
Act, not get rid of
Exactly.
it.
Vice
Pass this
President
prologue
Harris, thank
in terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a
She
lot
made a
of
mistake. At number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get. People are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump,
It's almost
thank
like I
you.
just
We
said
have
that.
another
Thanks,
issue
Trump.
that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in
And John
particular
McCain
younger
made that
voters, and
vote
that's
because
climate change.
he and Trump were
President
having
Trump,
a
with
riff,
regard to the environment,
and that
you
was
say
his
that we
last
have to
shot
have
at
clean
Trump.
air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what
It
we
is
know
a
is that it
hoax.
is very real. You
Yep.
ask
The
anyone
way they
who lives in a
interpret it,
state
it's
who
a
has
hoax. The climate
experienced
will
these
always
extreme
change.
weather occurrences, who
Correct.
now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have
Really?
created over
that was gonna
800,000 new
say. I
hadn't
manufacturing
noticed that at
jobs
the
while
gas
I have been
pump.
vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point
Sure,
that
last
we
time I
are
checked, I'm
opening
still
up
$3 a gallon.
factories around the world.
Oh,
Donald Trump
easily
said
over
he was
that,
going to create
yes.
manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement
Under
of the United Auto Workers
COVID!
and Sean Fain, who also
the
know
peak of the
that part of
pandemic.
building a clean energy economy includes investing
That
in
is a
American
fucking joke. A
made
clean
products,
energy economy.
American
It will never
automobiles. It
happen.
includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable.
Look into
But we're
the
not gonna
Chinese
let that.
influence
We'll
happening
put
south
tariffs
of our
on those
border
cars
right
so
now.
they can't
It's
come into
fucking
our
incredible.
country
It's massive.
because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News
worth a drink.
presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Damn, mic drop right before the fucking commercial break. That is fucking great. Hell yeah.
ABC News presidential debate
It's
will
like going in a
continue after
halftime
this.
with a fucking score of 37-8. That doesn't make sense for football terms, but
Oh, so they're coming back for more? How long
yeah,
is
that's
this thing supposed to last?
dude, yeah, no. Usually it's like one fucking commercial break. I have no idea.
No,
All right,
me
let me-
neither. Hang on one second.
Let me
I'll
mute
just
this on
look at
my end.
this.
Okay, we gotta get through super chats. Actually, I don't think we have a lot of 20s left. But see, we did that one for over there. Let's get over here to Clinton House with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you very much. Clinton House, one of our great fucking supporters over here on Vets Talkin. By the way, if you're new here, and I'm seeing a lot of new faces, so if you're new here, thank you so much for checking out Vets Talkin. This is just a microcosm of what we do around here. Double tap that like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content that you're seeing here right now. And what you're about to see as a result of 5 gifted messages, which is $25. Anytime we do $20 or more, we take shots. And let's go ahead and see a private manage to fuck up shooting an AT-4 rocket launcher.
Don't move, Proctor. Don't move.
Take that shot, Clinton. Thanks so much. Michelle says it's supposed to be 90 minutes. Let's see. We're at 90 minutes.
They said they were coming back.
Yeah, we're at 90 minutes right now. We were streaming for about 20 minutes. We're going for 2 hours now. So it's probably going to be closing arguments. My guess is probably going to be closing arguments coming up next. Okay, looking back, we are still in pause. Dr. Gold for $5. Thank you so much. She and Biden destroyed the American dream. You are absolutely right.
No doubt
Thank you very
about
much
it.
for the $5. 100% true, buddy.
Doug, yeah!
I'm gonna pour a shot, and I think we're probably gonna come back from commercial break right after this. Thank you
I think
so
drinking
much.
good scotch is better than drinking bad whiskey.
Oh, well, this isn't bad whiskey. It's just not. It's
I
just
wasn't
not.
talking about yours. I was just talking about mine. I have good scotch.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough.
It was like
I hope
$100
Blue
for the
Cord-
bottle.
I know Blue Cord's usually drinking the good stuff too. Thank you so much for the $20. He simply says, "Cheers, cheers to you, my friend." Thank you so much for all the support from you. And for that, let's just dance with a rocket in the background. Yeah. I still wonder how the fuck they timed that. Like, did they know there was gonna be a rocket fired in the background at that very fucking moment? Oh, I don't know. Okay, they got commercials going on right now. I just rushed through those shots, like thinking that I needed to. I feel like I'm regretting it now.
Oh, rushing through it or not being able to acknowledge all the people that contributed?
No,
to our
we got it.
ability
We
to
got everybody.
continue to
Everyone.
drink.
Everybody has been acknowledged now, and I feel like I was just chugging through. I think I needed to. Let's see. Clinton is saying Blue Cord is always present to make sure Adam is well hydrated. If I was smart, I'd be hydrating the proper way with like a big jug of water next to me.
We probably wouldn't be friends if you were smart.
Well, I mean, like chugging water along with the massive amounts of alcohol, that would be the smart move because
That's what's in this cup.
that reduces the hangover. Yeah, like I have a clusterfuck of a workspace here, and I'm always terrified that if I put a glass of water somewhere, I'm gonna knock it over, like pour it all over my fucking computer or something. That's my concern. So I don't have water with me. Wow, they're still in commercial break. Holy shit. See what is okay. Tommy says I got America car bombs, Jim Beam, and Dr. Pepper in a pint glass. Oh, that sounds awful, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that
I
sounds
mean,
so bad.
I don't think you could call that a car bomb.
No,
It's not
I mean,
respectful.
it's
Oh, the Irish folks, you know, they had to do a lot to make a good car bomb.
I just pop back over.
But
let's see.
I won't take away anything from the effort. It's still going to end up in the same result.
That's right, and more likely the car bomb just means you're going to get fucking puke all over your car. Is my guess.
Well,
All
yeah.
right. All right, they are coming back, so let's get back over to ABC. My guess is these are the closing arguments over here. Yeah.
Different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American
This is
people know
rehearsed,
we
but it
all
still-
have so
it
much
still
more in
sounds
common
idiotic.
than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military, and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay?
What?
And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about
What does
you
that
and is
mean?
not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
How is
Well,
Trump
let's
doing
not
everything
forget,
for him?
her
He could be
career
on a beach.
advanced.
He could be on a
She's
beach
gonna
getting
do
his
this, she's
dick
gonna
stuck
do
by a
that, she's
dozen
gonna do
fucking
all these
supermodels right
wonderful
now, but
things.
he's not. He's out there
Why
getting
hasn't she
shot
done
at
it?
for this
She's
fucking
been
country.
there for 3.5 years. They've had
Sorry.
3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
ABC News, you can go suck a fucking dick. You suck.
And we are here live.
All right, I forget how long that fucking goes on for, but damn, I think that was a body slam by Trump.
Adam,
Yes, sir.
you know, for the first time in her career, it was finally advanced by a man pulling out.
Oh, you get all the accolades for that one there, buddy. That was good. That was fucking good. Holy flying fuckballs. Do you want to talk about it? Or do you want to hear what these fuckers on ABC are talking? Let's listen to them real quick. Hold on.
We hadn't seen a handshake. We hadn't seen a handshake in a long time.
She initiated that one.
And
Yeah, she did.
not only did she initiate it, she walked over
Look
to
at they're
him
already
and saw him
sucking
out,
her
put
fucking
hands out,
female
and also
lady
made the
dick.
first words.
And probably had a plan if he hadn't put his hand out either.
Interesting. So more at the bottom line. What did you think?
I think clearly what Kamala Harris wanted to do was be the candidate of hope, the candidate of the future. Donald
When
Trump.
the Botox wears off,
Within
stay
4
home.
minutes, I think we saw him going from very serious at the beginning, never really seemed to look at her, to just angry. I mean, really yelling at some point.
She
trying
was
to
looking
make,
at him
to
like
make
a
his
fucking
points. I
cunt
don't
the
think
entire
a lot of
time.
policy and plans on either side of that, despite those questions over and over again.
See, no
But
matter
you
what,
had
no
was
matter
that
how this is going to
optic.
turn
You
out, we're
had
going to do
Kamala
this.
Harris looking over,
Oh yeah,
baiting
yeah.
him
It's
again and again and again. The microphones were muted when they weren't speaking, but many times she didn't need a microphone. You watch Donald Trump get mad and scowl through things. And, you know, John, we were all talking leading up to this about how this would go, what Donald Trump you would see. I think he had a plan for talking about what he saw as a next
Okay, all
term.
right. I can't put up with this shit anymore. I'm
no,
already
no,
done with that.
not
I'm
from
gonna,
that channel. No.
Oh my god. That's all you're gonna get. This it's gonna be a fucking circle jerk all around. At least CNN. CNN, I think, has been at least growing some credibility. I can't remember what his name is, but they've got some Republican dude on the panel who has been there every time and has actually been a very good voice of reason, to which you can tell the Democrat, all the fucking CNN people, they hate his fucking guts because he's actually really damn good. ABC, I guarantee that's just gonna be a circle jerk. They're all gonna be fucking saying the same stupid shit for the next fucking hour over there.
Yeah, yeah. And the sad part for, I know why Trump agrees to these, but there are so many other not commentators, but mediators for a debate that could be so much more useful. Put a Tucker Carlson in there to ask the questions, and like as opinionated as he may be in his own right, he will still ask fair questions to make certain that he doesn't have to be the opinionated person. People can make it up for themselves by the answers they get, but they don't do that. But if Trump's going to debate these people, the only way they're ever going to agree to do it is to get a friendly environment to debate him. Otherwise,
100%.
why would they do it?
Yeah, and I love Clinton over here. I know exactly what he's talking about because I follow over on X/Twitter. He's hitting this up both on the YouTube side and on the Rumble side. He's trying to make sure everybody sees it. Do a fucking debate on X. 100%. Do that on X. Let fucking Elon Musk be the moderator.
Go. I'd go with that for 100%.
Musk. Yeah, that dude is not right wing or left wing at this point. That dude is somebody who went through and saw the apartheid out in fucking South Africa. He understands.
He's the first African American who's truly African American.
Truly, at least in a great position of power for sure. Somebody who actually came from Africa and is now an American. Oh, but he's white. Oh, we can't say that. That's racist. But no, like he's actually seen this kind of shit. He's seen what it's like when entire demographics are being secluded and being silenced and even being killed. This shit happened in Southern Africa when he was growing up, and now he's over here. He was a leftist. All of his policies were very extremely democratic. Democrats. Let's be clear on that. He has now come around to see the differences between the left and the right and fully understanding the difference between Republican and Democrat. It's all fucking illusions. Same thing with like so much of the fucking audience here is big Tom McDonald fans. When it comes to conservative, libertarian, right, left, a lot of it is fucking bullshit. There is a lot when it really comes down to what we're dealing with in these days, and I'm trying very hard to make my words count as best I can, considering I'm quite inebriated. Thank you so much. Include you, Blue Coders. Drop another fucking 20. There is a lot of illusion to the differences between the right and the left as we have it right now, meaning that we are being told that there are things that we need to fight over when we really don't. We're being pushed into these fights. Right now, the big fight is what's right versus wrong. And we can have that on both sides, especially what we're seeing. And unfortunately, this is truth. I've said this before. I get this from Dan Bongino. Credit to him. There are many Democrats there are many Republicans who are actually Democrats. Yes, thank you. Many Republicans who are actually Democrats, which is what they're playing on right now. Kamala, way I call her because they say it's racist to pronounce her name wrong. Kamala, TUM. says that, oh, we have so many of these Republicans who support Harris. Yeah. They're not Republicans. Name me any fucking Democrat who is actually a fucking Republican. There's no version of that over on that side. We have people like Tulsi Gabbard, who is just a common sense fucking person, probably because she was, longtime fucking military, who said, I don't agree with you anymore, and I'm going to switch sides. She was not originally a fucking Republican.
No, when she ran for president, I listened to her positions, and some of what she said, I fully understood and believed and supported, but she kept with the Democratic line, and I couldn't go that far. Then she realized when she tried to bring common sense back to the Democratic Party that they outed her as like no longer one of them. And at that point, she's being surveilled by TSA or whatever when she gets on planes.
She's
goes
on
to do
terrorist watch
searches and
list,
all that
yes.
stuff because she went against the grain. You can't do that. You piss them off, you are now an enemy of the people in their minds. And when RFK Jr. comes around and supports Trump, then you got to start to believe that the people who are like the core thinkers of what was once like the centrist democratic idea, there were never the divides between us like when I was growing up. There were difference of opinions, but there was, there were arguments about who was better, Democrats or Republicans. But this now is so clearly defined to the degree that it could break out in a fight. That's how far apart both sides are. And that one side, and I don't care whether you point to the left or you point to the right, they're so far apart now that coming back to a common ground is, without, I believe, Trump, he's not radical in his beliefs. Make America great is, when did we stop believing in make America great? It was always supposed to be great. It just never had to be said out loud. That was the goal of every American when they grew up. They learned what made America great. But we have a communist influence, a Marxist influence that's trying, and is very successfully, teaching and training young Americans who have lost their history, lost their civic duty, to believe that we are a bad country. Well, if you've never grown up with, when I grew up, there wasn't we were taught civics and history and everything else. That probably totally contributed to like how I am today. But that was something that it was a common thought. Everybody had it. But they learned, if you're going to take away what makes America great, get it in the schools. Teach kids that, this civil rights thing, one of the things about when we were talking about Elon Musk coming from South Africa, that's a very good example of how it went from one extreme, white suppressing the blacks, and then the flip side is black suppressing the whites. In America, yes, there was slavery. That was the common belief that in the world, not just in the United States, it didn't start here. That was a worldwide thing. But it came to America, and there were people here who not only believed in, we need a new form of government in this country, but we need to stop picking on certain peoples and slavery. So it was outlawed, but it took a civil war to finally end that whole thing. It didn't, under any circumstance, people don't change easily, but it slowly did change. And it had gotten to a place in America where blacks were as well accepted. Believe me, I know I grew up, and I went to school with plenty of black kids, and I never gave one thought one way or the other. But when Johnson decided the best way to put the blacks back on the plantation was with the great, what the hell did they call that? The great, where welfare became the whole, like we're going to bring people back up and give them welfare. That was the worst thing that ever happened. Giving people free money is the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody.
And that that has created modern day slavery, where we have so many people who are dependent on the welfare system now.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do to us now. And if that is communism, that's exactly what communism is. When
100%.
people have no choice but to depend on the government, then you go along with anything the government says because you don't eat, you don't have a place to sleep unless the government gives it to you.
That's right.
By gosh, that is not the way America was built. You did it on your own. You worked for everything you got. There was no camping out in parks when I was a kid. If you did that, you were immediately arrested. Now it's like, oh, now we got to build a homeless shelter for them. No, you just arrest them. You take their shit, burn it, and throw them out of town. If you
force them back into being a productive member of
exactly,
society.
And if it requires them getting medical assistance to overcome all, I mean, RFK Jr. is correct. We have so trashed our health with all the crap chemicals in our food that I don't argue for a second that we have a lot of health issues. And if we could get back to a place where Americans were healthier, we wouldn't have a lot of these problems. Our military can't draft anybody. If they had a draft, they couldn't draft anybody. They'd be all like 4F, overweight, out of this and that, got heart conditions, all this other shit. We'd be totally fucked if we had to fight another war.
And God forbid they might turn into alcoholics like we are, because we have people like Blue Cord Devil who's trying to get us drunk every fucking night.
All right, let's be perfectly clear about that. I knew from an early age that I had a lot of responsibilities, but I knew when I retired, I could go, fuck this. This is my time now. This is my boyhood summer. I get to fuck off until I die from all the bad things I'm going to do to myself now. But I will drink to that.
Amen, and drink to that. What? Okay, well, we still got to do a video. Let's see. Just for the fuck of it, because we haven't done it in a while, let's shoot Derming the dick.
I'm freaking out.
Okay, go.
Thank you, Blue Cord, you fucking legend.
Get my hat to you, buddy.
Didn't you read his fucking? Hold on, let me get back over here. It like paying $20, might as well at least read his fucking message. Peace and prayers, Adam and everyone else watching. 6 stay calm, stay armed. Have doctor appointment in the morning. Usually he has the exact same closing super chat there every single time, but now he says have doctor appointment in the morning. You threw me off there, dude. You threw me off. Appreciate the fuck out of you, though.
Appointment. I hope it's not for bad news.
Well, yeah. My bad news would be the fact that I've got to start a fucking 8-hour drive in the morning.
Oh yeah, but look where it results.
In Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, come Thursday, like 11:30 in the afternoon, we are going to start our renewed visit to Green Bay. And well, I can't do it now, but you got the tat. You can show it. But we're going to add another bar to the tat, and
hold on. Let me highlight. Yeah, me and Mikey here, we have the same tat. I'd have to stand on my head. I would have to stand on my head for it to make sense. But this is a tattoo we got an idea for. For one, you can see it looks like airborne wings, which you can see right here. But we got, because there's a brewery up there in Green Bay that has basically this. It's a hop flour with barley, but they had it stretched out to look like wings. And we folded it in to make it look like airborne wings, which is also the wings are also used in Air Force as well for other jobs. And then every single time me and my buddy Mike here go together, we get a new bar. And we went
it's a gold one.
Right. So it's green. Every third one's gold. Now I've got green. So we've got a gold one coming up. We've got a second gold one coming up.
And that's going to be that's going to be like 4 solid days of just enjoying the shit out of Green Bay.
Drinking.
At game time, there's nothing like Green Bay.
Yes. It's amazing. And also we always go for home opener, and home opener is always a great fucking party. We get a fucking
Counting Crows
what's
this year.
concert we got? Counting Crows.
Counting
We're gonna go see.
Crows.
It's always
Yeah.
it's a free concert they do
Yeah.
at Lambeau Field. Not
Yeah.
in the park, but at the parking lot.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right outside the stadium.
You get the backdrop.
Thousands of people gathered together and just enjoying the shit out of it. You never have fights.
Oh.
You don't have disruptions. It's just people enjoying the shit out of being in Green Bay.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought about that. These massive crowds we've been to.
Massive.
Shit, last year had to be the biggest because we had a couple of really big bands, right?
If you
the
had
biggest one,
stopped-
I think I told a story. We saw Big and Rich the first time.
Oh yeah, that was, and I never knew who they were. And you told me, I think you're gonna like them, and I thought they were the best. And I bought 2 bottles of Redneck Riviera after I got home because that concert was so cool. I loved the shit out of that.
Yeah,
there was a couple that got engaged right there in front of the stage.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was huge. It was very, very cool. And I didn't even know I liked. It's not really country western. When I grew up, country western was like glittery coats with stupid fucking hats and and now it's like rock and roll with
Conway
a little bit
Twitty,
of
like Conway Twitty type stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, not like that now. I always suggest that when rock and rollers couldn't make it in the rock and roll world, they just changed their vocals and became part of country western. Because, well, look at never mind.
Let's we got
deep end really easy.
Hold on. Yeah, before we do that, we got a shout over on the Rumble side because 5-5, which I'm sure is Clinton Housh because I recognize that thumbnail, that avatar. For $20 says oh boy, been drinking and don't care. Well, that's not a good start. Speak out against the hypocrisy. You really want this worthless human that isn't a real American to lead our country? No. And I know he's talking about Kamala Harris. And Vor saying go easy. I think and Vor says I think America saw what we all expected tonight. Dude, here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing is that this is the exposure. You got to remember, we over here on this side, like I report on everything, right? And I'm not saying like I'm a great reporter. I'm not doing this investigation shit. I listen to everyone else. I listen to Steven Crowder, Dan Bongino, Newsmax, a lot of fucking different news sources. And I take the cheating way and I follow off of them. But they're all reporting what every side is saying, right? So we hear what the left is saying. And we hear what the right is saying that can disprove the left. The left is only hearing the left. I pulled this up before, and I need to find a way that I can pull it up repeatedly where I have 5 fucking headlines from 5 major fucking news sources here in this country that says doing research is wrong. Don't do your own research. Over here, we're saying, I beg you, name a time anyone out there that I've ever said, only listen to me and don't do your own research. No, I sit here and say, I'm a drunken, stupid fucking veteran who you should never assume is right. And fact check me any single fucking time you can. For the love of God, please. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong because I only want to be right, but you should never assume I'm right. That's not what the left wants. That's not what they want you to assume that everything that the left-wing media puts out is correct, and you should only listen to them. They are your God. We don't do that. We don't do that.
You know, just from experience from where we both live, I still live, you once did, that there is only I've had this, but it's not just here. There is just that one-sided opinion, but I've gone where I go in the summer. And in Wisconsin, it's amazing the people that don't know there's 2 sides to the story. when I argue that whether it's January or 5th or what Trump said, they're adamant. No, he said this. And it's like, no, he never did. It's like Camel Face coming up with the 2025 and Trump just
Yeah.
counting it right there saying, I've never signed on to it. I've never even read it. But she keeps repeating it because
Say it over and over and over again. Eventually becomes
say it
truth.
enough times, and the bigger the lie, the more people will believe it.
Joseph
and that's the
Goebbels,
problem.
Joseph
And-
Goebbels,
and-
back in the days of the Yahtzee, says, "Say it enough times, eventually becomes
Yeah.
truth." Modern
And the
day
media-
gaslighting is say it, tell it, tell the lie, tell it confidently, tell it repeatedly, and seclude your audience from the truth. This is how it happens.
Yes. And the media was supposed to be the fourth estate. Under the original Constitution, that's why the First Amendment was written, to make certain that they could always argue against whatever political opinion was being expressed with no fear of retribution. No one in that age ever thought that if it was going to go the other way, the Marxist would gain control of the education of the kids, and they would teach them not to argue, but to agree with the government. That would be the position to take, and think that you were on the right side of justice. Nobody could foresee that. And that's where we're at now. I don't think if you could actually have I don't think you could have a clear conversation with any of these people in the current media because they've already been blindsided and brainwashed and believe that what they say is exactly the truth. But if you could get somebody of an earlier age before they ever learned that shit and were learned to argue, when we were kids, we were taught to argue. It wasn't, you just didn't accept somebody as telling you the truth. You
Right.
argued with them, and they had to prove to you that their argument was valid. Hell, I had that argument with my teachers all the time. That's probably why I was so poor in school. Because I did not like teachers, because I felt that, they were always telling me what to do, but at least they had my interest in mind. Now teachers don't have that child's interest in mind. They're trying to convince them of how to think. They're even questioning their own sexuality. What child ever questioned whether they were a boy or a girl? I never knew a kid in my life that ever questioned whether it was a boy or a girl. We all knew who we
teachers
were.
are telling them to, and they're being encouraged into the idea that to be socially accepted means that you're going to be something outside of your expected to be.
And that's the communist, that's the Marxist way to do it. Confuse them, make them unable to have a clear thought, unable to reason, think logically. And I will give you another concern is that I believe all of our devices are very much contributing to this, because
100%,
if you said to somebody, what's the capital of Havana? I'm sorry, I just gave it away.
Capital of Cuba.
What's the capital of Cuba? Right away they pick up their phone. What's the capital of South Dakota? They pick up their phone instead of, one, they were never taught in school, and two, even if they had heard it in school, they wouldn't remember it, and they just go, well, I'll go to my phone. I don't have to know this stuff. I could just get it off my phone. So
it is Idiocracy. If you watch Idiocracy, which I just did recently, that is exactly where we are actually headed down. 100%. We are at a point in our society where it is a absolute pure dumbing down. And if we go on the same path right now, 10 years, we could absolutely be in the realm of Idiocracy, the movie. That is. Have you ever seen the movie?
I didn't recognize the name of it, but
okay, all right. You need to see the movie. It's a stupid slapstick fucking comedy made by the same guy who made Beavis and Butthead.
But you suggested to me, and I go, I don't know that, and then I watched it, and I went, oh yeah, I had seen that before. There's a lot of stuff I don't remember. I'll have to check my phone.
Let's work on not remembering this night by taking another shot for Clinton House over here at the $20 over on the Rumble side. Thank you so much. And with that, since we're talking about Idiocracy and one of the most popular show in the world on Idiocracy is basically people getting kicked in the nuts, I'll honor it with this.
Quick, baby!
Cheers,
He do that with a flip flop. He do that with a flip flop. Was that a flip flop?
Shoe. I don't know. I haven't bothered to analyze it. Zuperter?
It was a quick release, and I was amazed at that. I didn't know you could get you could get a shoe off probably faster than a flip flop.
I don't know. I think I mess with like the timing of the film, because I want to speed up the beginning point and then slow down him getting hit in the nuts. So the beginning is fast and the end is slow. Editing 101 for somebody who's never actually learned to be an editor, just kind of taught myself. Worked out pretty well for me.
Well, shit, I knew you when you were a Shiftless No account. And
you think I'm still not? Are you trying to imply I'm not?
No, you're still a Shiftless No account. You just made something of yourself.
I get paid to drink talking into a camera. All right, and I love all you motherfuckers for it.
Come out of the woodwork to help you out sometimes.
Dude, it drives people nuts when I tell people that it's kind of embarrassing to say like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber. Like a lot of people look down on that. A lot of people do, especially women. So I'm not proud to say that, but then the people who like are like, oh, that's cool. Then I'm kind of proud to say, yeah, I get paid to drink. That's right. Be jealous.
Some of us are doing it for free.
Yeah. I love you guys so much. I honestly do, man. The donations, you guys are keeping the lights on here. For the love of God, I hope you guys are going to support I hope you guys enjoy at least the paranormal channel when it's already out. Like I said, Vets Investigating Paranormal. The tabs have been popping up here. Please do click on the link if you haven't already. I'm going to have a video uploaded. I've already talked to everybody. I know I've only got a couple things I have to edit. I have to sit here in front of the camera and kind of like talk and explain the situations that we're in. But I edited 4 hours of investigation down to 1 hour, which is way more than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to get like 30 minutes. No, but we got so much activity in that 4 hour fucking investigation at Tombstone that it ended up being 1 hour of shit. I mean, not shit, good shit. And soon we're planning on doing a haunted forest here in Lake of the Ozarks. We are absolutely going to be doing, yeah, dude, it's like, yeah, because the Osage tribe here, yeah, like put a curse on shit around here, and a lot of people have seen like this. Okay, I'll say there's an area here where modern Americans died, and it is believed that there is an Osage tribe curse on the area, and that's the reason why. So no one else has done a ghost investigation there. I don't know if we're going to get anything, but we're going to try. It's going to be our very first one. We are going to do the haunted castle house in Brumley, which is 10 minutes south of here, one of the most haunted places in Missouri. We're going to go to the Jefferson City Federal Penitentiary, which has been on all the shows, everything, fucking ghost
hunters. There.
We've been, you and me have been there. Yeah.
Sat in the electric chair.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's a gas chamber, but yeah.
Oh, it was the electric chair. Then they made it the gas chamber.
Yeah, but yeah, so we did the historical tour there, but I'm going to be able to go in there, do an actual legit ghost tour. I invested money into legit fucking equipment here. It's in the other fucking room. I was going to do a fucking investigation today, actually. Me, Scotty, and Hope were going to do investigations today, but Hope went and hurt herself. And now he's doing the good near to be husband thing. Clinton saying be mindful when you go out into the void ghost hunting. There are things that will catch you off guard. Trust me, dude. I am well aware of this kind of shit. I am not one of those ones who would go out there and be like, hey, no, take me over, anything like that. I do not want that. I demand that does not happen. Ouija boards, all that shit. I don't fuck around with that. All right. I am definitely keeping that kind of shit in mind. But anyways, check out Vets Investigating Paranormal. I'm looking forward to getting this shit done. Actually, since, like I said, we were going to try to do our first investigation today. Instead, since I get to go up to Green Bay tomorrow. I'm bringing all my equipment with me, and I've already looked up ghost areas up there. Door County, the peninsula that we've talked about, you and me, and me, Mike.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
At some point, I'm going to drive you up there because I want to take a tour up there, and I'm going to show you the area up there, and I'm going to do a ghost investigation up there because there are locations. That place is actually called Door County, but it's actually Death's Door County. Death's Door. That was the name of it. Porte des Morts is French. Porte des Morts. Le Porte des Morts. The door of death.
Port of death.
There's a story behind it because massive fucking indigenous Indians were killed there. And like, dude, it's crazy. It's fucking nuts. So we're going to go up there and hang out. I'm going to go up there after you take off.
Maybe we go up before that.
If you want to go up there and do a ghost investigation,
we could do that. Hey, we got time.
Oh, yes. I didn't even know if I wanted to ask you because I didn't think you'd be down for something like that. But yes,
we got Thursday, Friday. Saturday is going to be like game day. We can't day before game day. That's all totally Green Bay. Sunday's game day, and then Monday we got
Monday's
Thursday when I get there. We'll figure that whole schedule out, but.
We're always fucked up on the night of game day. Monday's recovery.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where driving could be useful. Because it takes forever to get up there.
Absolutely true. Let's see. Vorsan, is that on Rumble and YouTube? What are you guys talking about? About the paranormal stuff. Good question. I haven't actually set up a I'll tell you what. Because Rumble is not funky with a fucking algorithm, I will upload the videos on there to the Vets Talkin Rumble side. This is advice I got from Jeremy D-Day Cobra from Geeks and Gamers. Something I already knew, but he did stress to me that you have to create separate channels on YouTube because of the algorithm. If you're going to do separate kind of topics on Rumble, we don't have to. So I can maintain the same Rumble channel and upload all the content onto Vets Talkin. So that's what I'll do from now, unless things change. I will keep the Vets Talkin channel and I'll upload the paranormal shit onto Vets Talkin if I remember to. And I will try to make a mental note doing that right now. So we'll do that. Check out Vets Investigating Paranormal VIP here on the YouTube side. But if you want to check it out on the Rumble side, just stay on with Vets Talking. We'll do it that way. Thank you for pointing that out. That's a damn good question. All right, let's get the fuck out of here, dude. Any last thoughts on the debate?
Before we go, let's just do one last toast to one. I believe that Trump had a good debate, but two, you have supporters, and the fact that they listen in, are interested in what you do, I toast them and your effort to keep the community alive. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you to all of you. I had no idea this would ever fucking happen, something like this. And this is an amazing community that we're building here. And I have no idea, like 10 years from now, if I'm still fucking doing this, I have no idea what it will be. But it would absolutely not happen without support of every single one of you out there. Thank you guys so much. That being said, I would usually say, where can people find you? But in your little cabin in the woods.
You got to come on a lot of back dirt roads to get to my house.
In the middle of fucking Vermont.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess anybody who's up in Green Bay, if you spot us out there, and if you're friendly and want to say hi, I'm down for that. If you're an asshole, just understand
if you see us in Green Bay, I won't be hard to spot. I'll be the dumb shit with a Green Bay jersey on and a hat with the biggest grin on my face, wobbling down the street with him grabbing my arm going, "Can you still walk, asshole?" I'm doing my best.
Happened 1, 2, or 3 times.
Yeah, I'm doing my best.
Oh God, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Mike, for being here. This has been a great show. Absolutely fucking great. Let's see. Dr. Gold, I am so glad you found us here, man. Thank you so much. You're a great supporter as well. Thank you so much, dude. Like seeing people like you continue to build up on here has been nothing but a blessing, man. I can't thank you guys enough. See what's Clinton say here. I look forward to what At That's Talking has to offer in the coming months. Join to see it. Thank you so much, guys. You are all so fucking amazing. I can't thank you enough. I'm gonna go through my regular fucking spiel. God, I wish it wasn't so fucking bland. Hey, look, somebody else. Wait, Jared Fleming. Oh wait, no, I've seen Jared before. It says, "Hey, I think this debate was one-sided. It sucked." All right, yeah, okay. So let's talk about that real quick. ABC was definitely way more one-sided than CNN, which is amazing. CNN has been the epitome of one-sided fucking bullshit for the longest damn time. And when they did the debate with Joe Biden, here's the thing is I think that they knew Joe Biden was going to flounder anyways. They knew Joe Biden was going to suck. So, hey, let's at least take this one opportunity when he's going to suck and make it look like we're actually a fair and even-sided news organization. We all still know you suck. It doesn't matter. I will bet with ABC, it was like they kind of took from that, but it's like, let's try to twist it a little bit more in Kamala's favor because she's not going to be as bad as Biden. So they ended up being very one-sided. Yeah, they only interrupted Kamala one single time. They interrupted Trump a lot. The questions were very fucking slanted in Kamala's favor. And all around, though, Kamala did better than I thought she was going to, but I think that all in all, when it comes to that third party, I keep on stressing on this. This is the Dan Bongino point. There's a third party that we're talking to, not necessarily me, but the third party that's listening to that debate. There's that third party, those undecideds who watched that, and I guarantee you the vast majority of them are going to say, wow, Kamala looks like a cunt. And she's dumb as a box of rocks. Trump actually makes a lot of sense. And they're going to end up voting for Trump. That being said, though, we're not going to assume there's going to be a red wave. We're also not going to be black-pilled to assume that we're going to lose. We're going to get there out there and vote. We're going to get people to register and vote. And when on election day, you're going to contact 10 people. You're going to text 10 people, email 10 people, and get them to fucking vote on November 5th. But more importantly, if you can vote early, fucking vote early, because guarantee on November 5th there's gonna be shenanigans. They're gonna rig the machines. There's gonna be now. Note it right now. Mark this in your head right now, and remember this. And this isn't maybe this is Dan Bongino pointing this out, so I'm not gonna try to take claim on this. But remember this: that you heard Adam say this because Adam got this from Dan Bongino. There's gonna be shit rigged on November 5th. Remember that. And so with that being said, if you can vote early, vote early. Dan Bongino says, bank your vote. I mean, put it in the bank, put it in there early, let that shit fucking accumulate interest. If you know people, for the love of God, please contact people. Spread this information out there.
Yeah. I live in a small state, but you can't discount how interference could occur. If you think, well, that'll never happen here, because it could. You always have to believe currently that could happen. So you vote early, they have a difficult time changing that vote. And I agree. I'm an old guy. I only vote on election day. But if that vote was trashed here, it doesn't really matter, because this state is already going to go totally Kamala Harris.
No, that's the wrong attitude, Mike. No, that's the wrong attitude. No. Yes, it's going to go Kamala Harris, but one thing's for sure, we got to assume we also have to try to get the popular vote. Don't let them try this bullshit with the fucking, oh, well, he only won the fucking electoral college. He didn't win the popular vote. No, even if you're in a blue fucking state, get out and vote. Do not assume, oh, my vote doesn't count because you're in a blue state. Get out there and vote and contribute to the popular vote. Please?
I did not mean to have you think that I would not vote. I'm just saying that if there was election interference, this state would always go Democrat. That's just the way it's been for the last number of years. I will vote. I will vote. They'll have to drag me away from the voting machine. I think the motherfucker died in here. I want that pencil back.
But you got to vote early too. If you have the
Well,
option to vote early.
Well,
then
they
vote
will
early.
because that is the routine here now. They send out unsolicited ballots to every person in Vermont.
Then
That's
do it because they're going to
unsolicited.
make those count way more than the votes
Yes.
that come in on November 5th.
Yes. So, but I am of the mindset that election day is election day, and I'm perfectly happy with showing an ID, and that I would
wrong
like to see
attitude, Mike.
happen.
Wrong attitude. I got to break you from that, buddy. I've got to break. I love you, man, but you got to break away from that because you got to play the game. They're playing a fucking dirty ass cheating game. You need to play the game to defeat their cheating. And that means if they're going to vote early, then you have to vote early. They're going to rig it so that your vote will not count on election day. You want to take a moral victory, then take a moral victory after Trump has won. But we have to get him into office first.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that's what I want. I want it back to the way it used to be when we used to go to the polls and vote on election day. This idea that there was no ID, that you didn't. There was a time, I believe, I could be incorrect, but you had to show who you were. You had to prove. If you hadn't already registered, when you registered, you had to prove who you were. They wanted proof, and you couldn't just say, well, back then they didn't issue driver's license to just any willy-nilly person. They do here now. So
I'm
it's
42
totally
years
fucked
old,
up,
and
and
I
I'm not
still
arguing with your point.
9% of the time, I still have to show my fucking ID to buy booze, and I'm 14 fucking years old.
Well, what do you think?
Imagine that.
Yeah, I lie when they ask me how old are you. Just trying to hit on the young cashiers.
Hey, what's up, New York Cat? She knew all the questions and had all the answers. Yeah, well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here.
That's probably actually true. That's probably very true.
Yeah,
because
I guarantee it.
When we talked about how well she was coached, if she didn't have a clue where the direction of questions were going to go, how would you coach somebody that well? And she's not very well at expressing her own opinions. And she did, I hadn't even given consideration to what your commentator just suggested, that she may have very well, we may never know that, probably never will, but she was well too versed in her replies that she hadn't already had that built into her head.
Yeah.
When I was sitting there listening, when I was a kid, and I grew up Catholic, so that probably explains a lot of my whatever. But she was so well versed in her answers that she had to have rehearsed them in advance, or at least had an outline of what they were going to ask. So if ABC wasn't going to say, well, we can't tell you exactly what the questions are, but here's what the outline looks like.
Yeah.
You could build a whole response around just that sort of thing. So, good point. I hadn't even given that consideration, but these people will do whatever it takes to win. And ABC is probably right at the top of that list.
We've already seen it plenty of times where you've got the instance where somebody there's the debate between Trump and Hillary Clinton when you had
well, who was the Republican there, or the Democrat? Donna, maybe it was
Donna Brazile. Yes,
Donna Brazile. There you go.
Donna fucking Brazile.
She gave
went and visited on the fucking tarmac, went onto the fucking jet where they were at, claimed, oh, it's just because I want to go ask about the kids and see how everything's bullshit. You're in charge of the fucking goddamn fucking debate they're about to have.
Yeah.
And you already have foreseen knowledge. You already have the knowledge about what the questions are going to be. And, it's just to talk about the kids. Tell me that ain't election fucking rigging right fucking there. Lying fucking pieces of shit. And if, you don't think that right now with the president in charge, with Harris, Biden, administration in charge right now. You don't think there's some way they could have sleazed their way into getting the fucking questions that they were going to get? Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. When you got a secret service that is going to say, oh, we don't know whose baggie of cocaine this is, even though it's going to be fingerprints, it's going to be fucking DNA. There's cameras. You know exactly who fucking dropped the cocaine in there. Even the secret fucking service is rigged right now for the fucking Democrats, for the Biden fucking administration. You don't think they can't get the fucking questions leaked out to fucking Harris so she can become elected? That's exactly what happened. Sorry.
So
off my
I
soapbox.
would give you, Adam, I would give you a hap tip because I don't know how long ago it was, but you started to tell me about how blind I was to the things I thought, how I believed I saw things, and you tried to convince me that open your eyes, dude. This shit's going on all around you. And because I was raised in a time and a place where we didn't live like that. And you were probably the first serious person, who didn't actually offer the idea that conspiracies were like wrong, that they actually had basis in. I mean, I kind of had that idea, but you started to point out shit to me that I started to look at stuff differently, and now it's like, and I don't regret it. I don't mean this any way in regret. I mean it totally in support that I look at stuff now with a much more critical idea, and I listen to a lot of different people that I truly trust. Dan Bongino is one of them. My background is, I mean, I'm not from law enforcement, but I worked with them for years, and I know the way they think. And you can find bad people in any career field. That's just a given. But back in my day, when you went into law enforcement, it was just like we went into the military. We had, and we were, I don't know what the right word is. And if I showed you the bottle, you probably understand why I can't find the right word. But we had a belief in what we were taught and what we learned. And giving to the community was not something that we thought was unusual. It just was a natural feeling. People that volunteer to be rescue, whatever, it's the same thing. We joined the military for the same. We believed in our country, and you started to give me an idea that had changed. It wasn't the same values that I had, and I look at it now differently. Still holding the same values. I didn't lose those. I've not been jaded by this feeling that we've lost our country, but I believe we are definitely losing our country. And if it doesn't change, we will lose our country. But we need to encourage people who may not have had the background that we have, but are listening because they want to know that there's a different point of view, that we're not like Marxist. We're definitely, this is a great country. We've had our problems, we've made our mistakes, but bottom line is we will always we strive to do the right thing. And Trump is that person. He may not be like the best speaking person that you like to listen to, but he's been on both sides of the lines, and his value is make America great. That's all we ever wanted to do. We weren't certain that the Democrat point of view or the Republican point of view. Independence was, if somebody asked you when you were growing up, you go, well, I don't know, I'm probably an independent. I'm going to make my decision on who makes the best argument. Well, now currently there is no best argument, because just tonight we listened to Kamala Harris bark off shit that we know is exactly the opposite of what she said was her point of view. But Trump has always stuck to the same thing. He's never changed his opinion. And they can argue, we know he was once a Democrat, but now he's a Republican. in this world, there are only two parties. You are either one or the other, but you can have an opinion that could make you an independent or a liberal in the old sense, where you thought about
Classical
what was
liberal.
good
Yeah.
for the country, what was good for people. And that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's exactly like, I mean, we've had Carrie Smith on, Mike Harlow, these people who are they were the victims of the left-wing cultist
Yes.
mentality, and they broke away. Carrie Smith, who was a longtime ultra leftist social justice warrior, self-proclaimed social justice warrior. She'll say that, you know, the names have changed so many times. Now they're woke, and now woke is going to become something else. She says it is a cult. It is absolutely a cult mentality. And she was stuck in it, and these people are in fact stuck in it. And it is sad. It is sad for these fucking people. I would say that I feel bad for, but they're so fucking evil. I mean, I wish they could break out of it. I wish that they could be better, but they are so fucking
They
evil,
can't. They
unfortunately.
won't. You spent most of your like growing up years here, and you knew what the countryside looked like. And now, I'm not saying it's everywhere, but from when I used to be able to drive around and just see pastures, now I'm seeing freaking solar farms. And they want to build one now near where I live that
Oh
is
God.
like some godly number of football fields long.
Which is
It's like,
insane for Vermont that wants to maintain the beautiness of the place. The Vermont
I
doesn't even have
know,
billboards. For
it's
those of you, if you haven't been to
yeah,
Vermont, it's so beautiful because they don't even allow billboards there. Now they're gonna
yeah,
put a fucking
yeah,
entire field
yeah.
of goddamn fucking solar.
That's how far afield they've gone.
What a fuck!
That
I'm not fucking surprised at all,
now
but
it's
I'm angry
because
about it.
I'm angry about it because
I
it's
haven't even been
not
there in years. I'm angry about it.
it's not it's not what makes sense anymore. It's just this mindless attitude that, we've got to do this to make the world a better place. Well, you're not going to make the world a better place. You're going to make this place suck and make no difference to the world at all. Just
Yeah, 100%. No, I know.
see, here's the difficult for me. When I was growing up, I never understood a lot about all the stuff that I know now. And looking back at that, I can understand because when you're growing up, well, one, like you got this free mindset about I'm never going to die. I could do anything I want. So that influences every decision you make. But as you get older, you start to realize that's not totally true. But then your perspective about stuff changes a little bit in regards to, well, I'm busy, I have a job, I've got to do stuff, and I don't have time to be involved with all these other idiots who are thinking this or that. I've already made up my mind. I don't like that. I don't like that. And then stuff changes, and you go, well, I don't like that either. But you just kind of sort of live with it. And then finally, one day, you get to a place where you get retired. Maybe that's the reason that I've started to become. I don't think it was exactly when I retired, but when I retired, I had a lot of time to like just read stuff. And I
Well,
started to
imagine that you got free
understand
time where you can actually
all the
learn. What a concept.
I started to
I say that
understand
jokingly because
that.
that's me, because all I do is absorb news now because I have time to just do that because
Yeah.
I don't have a
And
regular job like
filter
most people
stuff
do.
out.
Yeah.
And you start to realize that being conservative, I've found a few Republicans that go, conservatism is just that. It's conserving what we have. So when you have people trying to argue that we need to like trash all these meadows with solar panels, we got to have all this mining in other people's country, and we don't care what that costs because we're going to have batteries in our cars. That's not conservative. That's not even a liberal thinking. Liberal, any kind of thinking starts to say, if you're looking at the bigger picture, what does this cost? A salesman shows up and goes, I could do that roof for And then they put the roof on, you find out the fucking thing looks like shit. Well, you're stuck. He's gone. Your roof leaks like shit, and you're stuck with the mess. That's what we're being preached to right now. We are getting so much junk built all over our landscapes and now in our oceans, killing all the things they said they supported. We
I
love
know.
whales. They wash up on shore.
It's so
Everything
crazy.
is
Yeah.
going downhill, but it's all under this new vision that it's environmentally correct. It's not. You're killing
Yep.
the world, and you people can't see it because
They
it's
have-
happening all around you.
I got to get to the super chat, and then we're gonna close things up. But the hypocrisy.
Wind
I
me
know,
up, and
dude.
I'm
You got
sorry.
the soapbox just like I do. I trust me. I know, buddy. I know.
Well,
That's why I
praise the
love you,
Lord.
dude.
We're both Irish brothers. You know that, don't you?
Oh, of course I do.
We're
Absolutely.
born with the soapbox under our feet.
But I got to hit a couple of things here. But real quick, I will hit on the hypocrisy is beyond belief. I mean, just like my own personal experience when I was at the RNC, I'm not sure if you've seen the video when I confronted these psychopaths because the one dude was on video on Twitter saying, "I hope your daughters get graped." We can't say the actual word, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to find a way to edit that properly on YouTube because you can't say. Yeah, the YouTube is so stupid. I say so. I hope your dogs get graped. He was saying that to Republican women as they were going into the RNC. So I got to see that. And 5 hours later, I confronted him, and that motherfucker chickened out, fucking ran away while his psychopath dude with the BLM shirt on, the guy who actually said it was black, fucking yelled at me, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you." I'm like, you don't care about that? You don't care that he says that? No, I don't care. Okay, you're a fucking hypocrite. I went right across the street to two women, two fucking psycho leftist, purple hair psycho banshees who were sitting out there saying, 2, 3, what is it? Some countdown. Donald Trump did a rape. Okay, so it's like 6, 7, 8. Donald Trump did a rape. Shit, I already fucking said it. Anyways, I went to them and said, "Hey, what do you think about those guys over there? That dude over there said to women, 'I hope your kid gets raped.' Oh, we're not with him. That dude has a shirt that says Kamala for president. That's your people. We don't talk to fascists. We don't talk to fascists." I'm like, you don't care? You don't care. We don't care. Blah, blah, blah. See, thank you for proving my point. No, they don't care. They only want to prove, they only want to make their political points. Everything they espouse is bullshit. They have no actual fucking morals whatsoever. None. No fucking morals. They want to sit there and espouse and try to claim that Donald Trump is so bad because he did a grape, in their fucking words, which has absolutely no proof or evidence whatsoever in any case at all. But then actually saying right across the street over there is a dude who says he wants children to get raped, and they don't care. No morals. They don't actually care. They don't actually care. Okay, now from my soapbox. Let's see. So this is funny because over here, Tommy said shots because he saw me. I was pouring a shot. I was going to do one single shot just in honor of the show because it's been an awesome fucking time.
1 second. I'll pour another one.
Absolutely. Pour another one.
So you can see, can you see my bottle right now?
Bring it to your left.
Oh yeah, I got to change hands. That was just this afternoon. Oh, turn around. That was this afternoon, a full bottle, and I take full credit for having done this.
I was gonna play the "Why the fuck you lying" clip, but instead, I know you're absolutely true. So, but Dr. Gold popped in with a $10, so we'll honor that with a shot, even though it's not 20. But I love you, dude. You've been awesome. Dr. Gold, who again is a 20-year-old grocery store bagger who has been an awesome patron, an awesome addition to the show. So happy to have you here, dude. Says for $10, the first Trump speech I watched was when he made the speech for the World War II veterans in Europe. This is when I saw that Trump loves this country and the veterans. Exactly. Thank you for seeing that. Thank you for seeing the truth and not believing the bullshit lying fucking media that wants to try to claim that he hates our veterans when, of course, we know he is far more supportive of our military than any of these fucking Democrats are. What are you gonna say, Mike?
The guy who was a grocery store bagger, is that what you said?
Yeah, Dr. Gold here. Yeah.
Well, I have no idea how old Dr. Gold is, but
he's 20
when
years
I
old.
started as a stock boy, where we still packed paper bags, you were the most successful brown bagger when you could make everything in that bag line up perfectly well, and they picked it up, and then you knew if the shit you were going to put in needed to have 2 bags, and it still stayed perfectly squared. And then, whether you wanted a tip or not, you took that person out to their car if you asked them, would you like me to help you load your groceries? So if he's of that generation, I tip my hat, buddy.
You're giving him far too much credit. We don't know if he's that far behind. We're gonna.
I have no idea, but if he knows what bagging groceries is like,
we're gonna sing your top tier though, there, buddy. Let's see. Let's get. I was gonna play the. I'm still gonna play it.
Somebody said, I just ordered, Vets Talkin says, just ordered the Hunter shirt and the foam finger for my studio background. Bro, shout out to you, man. And if Vets Talk, wait, Vets Talkin, are you guys like a reaction channel? I've seen your guys' stuff before. If that's you, regardless, you got Vets in your name. I'm sure you're a veteran. Thank you for your service. Salute to you guys. All the love in the world for the sacrifices you've made for the rest of us, man. We all really appreciate it.
Salute to you, Tom.
And a hat tip to you, Adam, because not only do you attract an interest in your podcast from veterans, but also non-veterans. And to me, that's huge because not everybody has to serve, but they have to understand the patriotism that this country needs to have in its citizens. And I believe you encourage that.
Amen. Let's drink to that. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I got to get up and drive 8 hours to Wisconsin tomorrow. So let's fucking close this shit up right now. Like I said, Mike, love you, buddy.
Thank you for the opportunity, buddy. It's not every time I'm willing to do it, but I'm happy I did it this time.
Absolutely. Look at that. Yep. Thank you, Dr. Gold. You're fucking awesome, dude. Love you, man. Big shout out to you, Dr. Gold, Blue Core Devil, Clinton House, Vor. All of you motherfuckers are fucking awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here and making this what it is. This channel would not be here without all of you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are continuing to motivate me to keep doing this and to try to build this as best as I can. I want to bring the best quality, the best entertainment possible to you, and most importantly, the most informative. That's what I want to do more than anything else. That being said, Wayne as well. Wayne, thank you so much. You shared that information with me over on the Twitter side. Guys, thank you. Guys, if you're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all these things, at Vets Talkin. Remember, at Vets Talkin. Drop the gene, you'll find me right here. Hit up those social medias if you haven't already. I'm also on Truth Social. I've got like 5 followers over there. If you're on Truth Social, please give me a follow and let's try to get that up to double digits for the love of God. That being said, let's close this out. Thank you guys so much very much for everybody here who has been super chat, commenting, the lurkers behind the scenes, the moderators, of which I don't think I had any today, but that's all right. I love every single one of you. If you haven't already and you're new here, be sure to double tap that like and subscribe. Follow us on here. We're going to be doing these live streams a lot at 8 o'clock Eastern, random days, but usually on Thursday at the very least for Knife Hands. And if you're not a veteran, it's okay. You can share us out there with everybody because you don't got to be a vet, just don't get butthurt. You've been warned!
Oh, God!